Today, we're going to be talking about the most important match of the 1900s. And this is a match that you have probably never seen footage of before, and nobody you know has ever seen either. That's because this match took place on November 7th, 1952. Of course, we're talking about El Santo against Black Shadow, Máscara contra Máscara. First, I'd like to give some context about the circumstances that led to this match. El Santo is known by many as a beloved luchador who fought evil and reached the absolute peak of Lucha Libre as a good man. However, he was not always viewed like this. You see, at the start of his career, El Santo was known as a vicious rudo. He didn't even become El Santo until 1942. He previously used names like Rudy Guzmán, El Hombre Rojo, El Murciélago Enmascarado II, and a few other names. Anyways, Santo was a vicious rudo, described by some as the most hated luchador of the 40s. And he was doing pretty well beating on guys and teaming with Corri Guerrero. In 1947, a guy by the name of Black Shadow bursts onto the scene. He had already worked under the name Jungla Cruz, but this would be the year he started using the Black Shadow name and really making a big impact. He would start his time as Black Shadow facing off and winning against Rolando Vera, another big name of the time. Then he would face Santo for the first time, tagging with Wolf Rubinsky against Santo and Corri Guerrero. Black Shadow and Wolf Rubinsky would win this match against La Pareja Atómica. In the years that followed, Black Shadow would face this team some more, tagging with both Cavernario Galindo and the legendary Blue Demon. In fact, Black Shadow and Blue Demon actually grew into very good friends and together would be known as Los Hermanos Shadow. They weren't real brothers, but they were brothers in the ring. And this is important. Remember this for later. Anyways, back to El Santo. Black Shadow's first singles match with El Santo was on June 6, 1947, and this would end with Black Shadow defeating El Santo in Arena Coliseo. From 1947 to 1952, these two would have 4 singles matches, with 2 wins going to El Santo and 2 wins going to Black Shadow. Then, on Friday, October 24th, 1952, in the semi-final of a Battle Royal-like match, Black Shadow would attack El Santo and start unmasking him in the middle of the ring. He would only get his mask about halfway off before stopping. However, this was enough. Santo would challenge Black Shadow for the ultimate prize and Black Shadow would accept. On November 4th, 1952, it was announced that Black Shadow and El Santo would face each other 3 days later in a Lucha de Apuestas, Máscara contra Máscara. The payout for this match would be the highest ever up to that point and set the highest attendance record Lucha Libre had ever seen, completely selling out Arena Coliseo and having to turn away 5,000 people, even with ticket prices being 4 times higher than normal. It is also estimated that around 500,000 people watched this match on TV. There are portions of a newspaper article written by Antonio Andere from La Afición included in CMLL's history book that describes how this match goes, and the full article can be found online as well. I'll be pulling from this first-hand account to describe what the match was actually like. We're not going to be able to get every move of the match here because it was a 70-minute match, and the writer of this article really only wrote about the most important moments, but it's enough to get an idea of what happened. Black Shadow was the first to enter the ring, adorned in a black robe with purple trim, accompanied by his brother Blue Demon. Next in was El Santo, dressed in silver from head to toe, mask, boots, tights, robe, all silver. His second was Dick Medrano, the same man who was in his corner the night Santo beat Bobby Bonales. The start of the match was all clean and technical, and proved that both men had the ability to belong amongst the best técnicos in the world. It was Black Shadow who showed aggression first, slapping El Santo in the face, and from this moment on, the match took an explosive and sensational tone. Santo would get the advantage first, throwing Black Shadow out of the ring and preventing him from making his way back in. Then, when Shadow finally made it back in, Santo greeted him by slamming him up against the turnbuckles and whipping him into the corners of the ring. The first fall went to El Santo, who whipped Black Shadow to the ropes and met him with a big tope on the rebound. And just as an aside, a tope can be done in the ring and out of the ring. Just think about it like a running dive attack. From here, Santo lifted Shadow up, threw him to the mat, and got the 3 count. It was not all over for Black Shadow, as he came out in the second fall, reversing a bad situation and giving Santo a tope of his own in the ring. He then threw Santo out of the ring and gave him a taste of his own medicine, fighting hard to keep Santo out as Santo had done to him in the first fall. When Santo finally makes it back in, he is caught by a tirabuzón, in English, a sort of abdominal stretch. When Santo finally broke out of this hold, the crowd erupted. There were more strikes exchanged, with Black Shadow gaining the upper hand. Santo tried going back to using some topes in the ring to hurt Shadow, but was instead predicted and caught by Shadow's own signature tope, which left Santo motionless on the mat. Shadow took this fall, a very hard-fought fall. The writer describes the submissions used in this fall as being able to defeat anyone in a normal match. But this was no normal match. There's many submissions that were used in the second and third falls that both men resisted and were able to escape. Boston Crabs, arm bars and leg locks, Santos la de caballo, even a failed tapatía that Santo was able to reverse into another Boston Crab. Emotions were running hot and both men were going hold for hold and move for move. Santo throwing Shadow out of the ring again, only for Shadow to come back in and hit another fierce tope on Santo. And then it happened. Black Shadow went for a tope to the outside of the ring, like a suicide dive, and crashed into the floor of Arena Coliseo. And this would ultimately be the mistake that cost Black Shadow his mask. When Black Shadow finally made it back to the ring at the count of 18, Santo was ready to take advantage. He gave Shadow punches to the body and the head, and then gave him an Irish whip. Shadow tried to fight back, but Santo caught him with some flying head scissors. Heavy emphasis from this article on how good these head scissors were. Santo got Shadow down and held him down with a variation of a rano, and the ref counted 1, 2, 3. Black Shadow had lost and must now surrender his mask. Press and police stormed the ring, and Santo himself tried taking the mask off Black Shadow's head by force. However, he was unsuccessful, as Blue Demon stepped in to stop him. And here's where I start reading about more conflicting reports on what happened. In this article, it states that Black Shadow unmasked in the ring and revealed his true name. But I've also read that Black Shadow never gave Santo the mask he took off that night. The mask he gave El Santo was not the actual mask he wore in the ring, but rather a knockoff, a lower quality copy. And Santo never received the correct mask. This is alleged to have happened after Black Shadow unmasked in the ring, then took his mask with him to the dressing room, switching the masks and having Blue Demon deliver that mask to El Santo. The whereabouts of the mask Black Shadow wore that night have never been discovered. It's lost to this day. The ramifications of this match were massive. First off, the demand for tickets to this match was one of the reasons why the larger Arena Mexico was built. It is possible Arena Mexico still gets built without this match, but this match certainly helped a lot. Second, this match kicked off the legendary Santo vs. Blue Demon feud. Blue Demon, being the in-ring brother of Black Shadow, swore vengeance for his fallen brother, turned técnico, and would end up taking Santo's NWA World Welterweight Championship in 1953. Of course, this would cause Blue Demon's popularity to skyrocket, and we now know him as one of the most recognizable luchadores of all time. As for Black Shadow, he would continue wrestling unmasked until 1991, when he retired. Black Shadow didn't have any children take up his name and continue the Black Shadow legacy, but there have been others who have used the name. The most famous probably being Black Shadow Jr., someone unrelated to the original Black Shadow, but who had his approval to use the name and mask. And fun fact, Black Shadow Jr. actually ended up losing his mask to none other than El Hijo del Santo. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was as exciting for you as it was for me. And until next time, see you later.